Hello, welcome back to Night Five Channel. I'm Jacob J. Books Corner. Today we're talking about the 26 books that I read in April. I first want to start with the books that I physically don't have a copy of for whatever reason. If you are new here, I'm Jacob. We do book content over here, book writing, sometimes lifestyle, but those are very rare in between. Lots of books, lots of writing content coming to you. And I also have been doing small books for a while now. This is like my 4th month doing small books. And here we are again. I'm really excited, but there were a few that I just couldn't get to by the time, and this video is already so late that I just wanted to move forward. So let me quickly go over the ones that I don't physically have, like a little copy to go over that I'll throw up on the screen, and then we'll jump into the little books. Starting with Sky Daddy. Sky Daddy was a novel that I was really looking forward to reading. This is my 25 and 25, and I knew it was going to be really weird. I just didn't really realize how weird it was going to get. If you're someone who really likes planes, like really sexually likes planes, this is a book for you. I don't think I've ever seen a book more for you, in my opinion. What a weird niche that you can just fully fetishize. Like, it's crazy. That being said, I had a lot of fun. I thought like the character here, the main character, I really liked. I also really liked a lot of the surrounding characters. She had goals. The goals were weird, but she had them. Also, the knowledge of planes and how much she like fed that throughout the whole story was amazing to me, but I feel like really annoying to some people. Also, it was originally going to be a 4. I gave it a 4.5 because of the ending. Now, the ending, I have a feeling it's going to be controversial no matter what, so just go into it knowing that. But it really worked for me. I can understand why it doesn't work for a lot of people. It deals with some very adult, well, obviously it deals with adult subject matter, such as spicy stuff. But also some other things that could be really triggering to some people, but it's a really, I don't know how to describe it. It's a really Pacific trigger. That's the best way I know how to describe it. The next one that I don't have is going to be called, oh my god, I don't remember how to pronounce that. Dashing Zaddy and the Icy Protector. This is volume 1. I don't remember anything about it. I read it as an e-arc. I gave it a 3.5, so it did what it needed to. Oh, this is about a guy who can't get a boner. And then he meets the guy. He's only been with women. And he meets the guy, and the guy can give him a boner. And he's like, oh my god, my erectile dysfunction has been cured, even though he's probably just gay. That's what that's about. I forgot about that. Then I read, what's it called? Space Between Us or something like that. I'll throw the cover. Also, another first volume in a long-running, what looks to be a long-running series about 2 boys who are just here to protect one another. It's really beautiful. It's really sweet and really kind. It has this like really slow burn relationship at its forefront, but it was told, because I googled it, I was curious to see if it was going to turn into anything more, that there is a possibility for this to join into a relationship. But most of this book, I would say, presents as just a really kind and sweet friendship about a boy who has a lot of problems and another boy who just wants to kind of help and protect him from all of these problems. And I found it to be gorgeous. It was a 4.5. I don't know when the first volume comes out. Very sorry, but it was an e-arc and I really enjoyed myself. Those are the 3 books that I don't physically have a copy to show for you. So everything else is inside a tin. We're gonna do a tin today. I don't know. Let me know if you like the bag better or the tin better. Okay? We're still gonna do it randomly, because it's more fun that way. Final Empire, which is the next, after I post Red Queen, which should go up this month. Once Red Queen is posted, we'll be moving into the Cosmere. Don't worry, we're taking a long break from fantasy and sci-fi because I don't know how to talk about it. But we are going to be talking about the Final Empire, so I don't really want to give away the rating because it does give away the idea. The Final Empire follows Vin, and she learns that she's a Mistborn, which is someone in this world who can control all the different magical powers that they use. The book is about taking down an empire, and it was really good, and I have to applaud Sanderson greatly. That's all I can say on it. Moving on. There's a sequel in here somewhere, so, because I had to read 2. Could you tell I was not liking Red Queen? That's a video. Okay. Did I read both those? A part of me feels like I should just grab the sequel as well. Like, if I do talk about the first one, I'll just talk about both in a single go. So we have For the Apocalypse and For the Apocalypse Volume 2. I'm trying, it's a zombie story, a manga, that I do remember. I liked some of the concept here. I think it's about a group of kids that are trapped in a school, and they're trying to escape the school and try to figure out what's going on in the world as zombies do attack. This was a 3.5, and this was a 3, which does mean that I'm not going to continue out the series, and the fact that I don't really remember the really basis of the characters and the plot and any cool moments sticking out to me, because it is a manga, really just show that I made the right choice in deciding to put down the series. Alright, moving on. Let's grab this one. Okay. This is I only read one of these. There's a few of these that I read the sequel to right afterwards. So this is Alive, The Final Evolution. This is about a world where there's an epidemic of suicide, and we're following a character who is trying not to fall upon this epidemic. I really found it to be very tasteless, and I found it to be not good. That's all I can really say on it. I gave it a 2.25. It really pissed me off for the majority of the book, so I wouldn't recommend for obvious reasons. Moving on. Graham Falls, a female Grim Reaper. She is brought into the business. I gave this a 3, and it's about her exploring the business of being a Grim Reaper and what that entails. I remember the artwork being really pretty, but I remember the story just not really clicking for me. And once again, I can tell because my brain just doesn't physically remember it. And that's always a good sign that you should stop a series in its track. Okay, I did read 2 of these. I will have to say these are really uncomfortable to read. I'm just going to put that up. But we have Happiness Volume 1, okay, and Happiness Volume 2. I do have a feeling, I can't remember. I know Happiness Volume 1, I think, was one of the highest rated ones that I read when I was going through like a manga kick in the middle of the month. Yeah, it was a 4.25. That's ridiculously high. And I rated the sequel the same, so I do plan on continuing on with the series if I can find more. This was a vampire as she meets a boy. I think let me in type of situation. Except this is like fan service manga from what I understand from basically what I've read online because they look like children. Like those look like really small childs to me. And the uncomfortability of the drawing in it makes me not want to read it. But the story is really good and it's really captivating. And so I'm excited to continue on where it's all about vampires and the exploration of that and creating more vampires and what that means and the blood and the whole 9 yards. And I really liked it, but it's very adult and it's very uncomfortable to read. I would not recommend it for a lot of people because of that. Because they look so much like small children. I don't even know how to describe that to you. Let's grab this one. Okay, I only read one of these. This is Copulation, I think is what it's called. It's volume number 1. Another one I gave just a straight 3. This is about a world where there's a virus that goes down and they send down a group of people, a group of females down to investigate this. They work for like a CDC type of thing. They're dressed very like schoolgirls, very manga, anime based. If you understand the vibe, I think these were written 2000s as well, so that's also the vibe. I read it because of zombies and there was really no zombies. I gave it a 3. I was kind of bored. Was not for me. Moving on. Grab. Oh, okay. So we have Joe Abercrombie's The Blade Itself, a book that I was really looking forward to reading, and I did enjoy. This was one of the first ones where I decided that I was going to take a break. I gave it a 4, which does mean that, like, in my brain, I'm classifying 4s to 5s at the beginning of a series. Like the first book, I'll move it into that video series where I read the whole series for you and review it and talk about it and tell you if it's worth it or not. Here's the thing, I couldn't tell you a single fucking thing what happens in this book. I couldn't tell you. I liked it. I liked the writing. I liked the reading portion of it. I enjoyed my experience. But when I sat down to actually physically talk about it to you, this is what happened. I can't tell you. I don't know. It's a very dark grimoire, dark fantasy. From what I understand, this is like one of the books that invented the genre of grimdark fantasy, which just means it's really ultra violent. There's a lot of other stuff going on that, you know, it's like extreme horror for horror is essentially, from what I understand, is the definition of it. And he is mostly known for writing it. And I really like the world. I really like the characters. I really liked a lot of it. I just couldn't tell you. I know there's revenge. I know there's an assassin. There's also a dentist. I very much remember that. And I remember thinking this is not necessary. It was very necessary, but like not to me. So I gave it a 4. And if any of that sounded good to you, I guess I recommend it. I have a hard time talking about it. I don't know why. I've had this problem with a few fantasies that I've read. Oh, Eat the Rich. I read this because of Kayla. She read it in a video, and I was like, can I read that? I'm sure it's on Kindle Unlimited or Comics Anthology. And guess what? It was. And so I picked it up, and I was like, cool, I'll read it. I like people destroying the rich. Let's do it. I gave it a 3.25. It didn't really work. It reminded me a lot of a Deshauna Dawson novel that I read last year. I don't think I read it this year. It's a novella. No, I definitely read it last year. It's a novella where she goes and she meets like a family and they turn out to be like crazy psychopaths. This is on the same vein. If you like that type of storytelling, a really poor person falls in love with a rich man, rich person. I think this is the case of maybe a woman. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's a lesbian couple at the forefront. They end up going and staying at this resort. The resort ends up being a bit wild, and you can tell based on some of that what I could mean. It's very literal. I gave it a 3.25. Also, I think this is Sarah Gailey, if I'm not mistaken, and I've learned over years. I was just curious based on what Kayla was saying about it in the video. That's why I read it. But I've learned over the years that like Sarah Gailey in particular, I'm just not a big fan of. She's written a lot of things I read. and I've always given them low ratings. Aegon, demi-human, I think. It's set in a world where there's these creatures that you're seeing right here. The horror manga, I really couldn't tell you anything else about it. Happy I didn't rate a sequel. I gave it a 2. I'm really bad at this whole review thing, wrap up. But you know what? It's cute, right? You're having a good time, right? I hope so. Alright. Where? Pretty. Some of this. Ooh, Death of an Author! I love Death of an Author by Nadia Okafor. I read this. This took me a while to read. This was at least a 4. I read so many long books this month. It really did. We'll talk about it. There's one particular book, which we'll talk about next month, that really did put me into a slight reading slump. Death of an Author was a 4.25. As well as a girl. It's set in the near future. She is paraplegic, and she writes a book. We meet her at a low point. She writes a book about AI and robots, and it's set in a futuristic world. And it opens up all these possibilities indoors, and it follows her through her entire journey of being an author. The complexities of writing a sequel to a bestseller, her writing a bestseller, no one believing that she wrote a bestseller, what that means, what an adaptation like that looks like. It had some really good twists in it. I really, really liked it. I would recommend it a ton. It was a 4.25, and it was on my 25 and 25. So it's another one I got to mark off this month, which I love. Oh, we have Faithless by Karen Slaughter. This is the 5th book in the Grant County series. This was a novel that I was hesitant to pick up on because if you guys are familiar with my Karen Slaughter journey, which you might not be if you're new, but I've been reading Karen Slaughter for several years now. I got into her because of The Good Daughter, and then I read some her other standalones as well after that, Pretty Girls, that type of stuff. And then I started with the Grant County series, as that was what was recommended to me, and I really didn't like the homophobia and the slight racism and the ableism and stuff that was in it, and how graphic it was, and how easily she threw around certain words, and so it made me uncomfortable, so I stopped reading it, and I was like, somehow my brain was like, why did I stop reading these? Let me go ahead and pick up the newest, or one of the later ones. And I gave it a fucking 4. Like, call me shocked. There's nothing problematic about this book. It's very disturbing, but that's kind of like typical Karen Slaughter. And I miss the darkness of the writing and the darkness of what this series entails. So like, I'm also not opposed to reading more, but I'm also like not opposed to finding more in this vein. Maybe other people have written like a Karen Slaughter without being a Karen Slaughter, and I think I'd be interested in those as well. It was a fucking 4. What the fuck? This follows our 2 leads. I don't want to spoil anything because there are characters that are now leads that were not leads in the beginning of the series as they find a victim who has been murdered. They find her in a pipe, and they're solving the case. That's all you need to know. I was very captivated. I very much enjoyed myself while reading it. Now, what do you think I'm cheating? Let's grab this one. Okay, I read 2 of these. I don't know if I can show these covers on the internet. This sounds fun. I'm gonna do it anyways because that's who I am. So I read Deathtopia Volume 1 and Deathtopia Volume 2 because yes, these are very scandal cloudy, very fan service manga, one could say. However, I had a good time with this first one. The first one I think I gave like a 3.4, what was it, 3.5? Yeah, I gave the first one a 3.5. It just follows this group of girls as they are saving somebody and other things. And then this was horrible. This is like a 2. It was so bad. The sequel just did not hit any of the notes that the previous one hit. So we have to move on. It's just the respect I have to give for it. Alright, we have Retreat by Krysten Ritter. All I can tell you is really what the synopsis is about. I can't tell you my opinion, my views on it. It is a 5-star prediction. I have a feeling that's the next video going out. We'll get to hear from it soon, but not right now. Retreat by Krysten Ritter follows a girl who ends up going on a retreat. Oh my god, she's a con artist. She fucked up a lot and she needs to get an escape. Someone offers her an escape unknowingly, and they send her to an island to put up a painting. The thing she cons in, I'm just leaving it on the ground. And things go awry, so it ends up dead, and she ends up taking the identity of that person. That's all you really need to know. And like I said, I'll have more thoughts. I even think spoilery opinions in that video coming up. So, no worries there. We have The Exorcism at 1666 pen, or 1600 pen. This is the White House Exorcism. Some of the worst artwork I've ever seen in my life. I take that back. I've seen worse. But it was not great. It was a very bad artwork. I did not like this at all. This was a 2. Wouldn't recommend her. I got her from an eArt. That's all you need to know. It's an exorcism in the White House. I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. We'll talk about Libertases. This is a German graphic novel for comic sexology about 2 men who are not supposed to fall in love, who do fall in love, and the complications that it explores and stuff. And that's the beautiful cover of it all. I gave it a 3 something. A 3.5 is what we landed on. We are down to the final 4. Or actually, final 3. There's one in here that we'll talk about next month. Alright, this is The Lull of Ascension, the second book in the Cosmere, or Mistborn series number 1. And I can't tell you a single thing about it because it's a sequel, but I can tell you that you'll find more about it soon. Let's do this one. We'll save the other. Actually, no, I'll save the other one I can't tell you anything about. So the next one I'll talk about is C. Marianne Jones's new novel. This is Buffalo Hunter Hunter. I read this month. I can't tell you anything about it. It's a 5-star prediction as well. And that's all I can really say. It follows 3 different storylines. So we have, I don't know how to ever explain it. So we follow a woman. It's set in like the 2000s. And her granddad wrote a diary that no one's allowed to touch. And she's allowed to touch because it's his granddad. And she's transcribing it for a newer audience. The papers are basically falling apart. And in this process of transcribing it, we're also hearing the story of her granddad and also the person the diary is written about. It's like a journal entries about this man's story. That's all I'm going to tell you. It had some really cool elements to it, though, that I can't speak about. But that's all I'll tell you. And then lastly, we have Devil's Line, which is volume 1. I don't really remember what Devil's Line is about either. Trying to vaguely, but just not coming to me, so that sucks. I gave it a 3 something. It was a 3.5 stars, which means I should remember more, but I don't. And lastly but not least, because I forgot about talking about in the beginning, I also read This Is Not a Kid's Book, the sleepover one for the series. I am planning on reading the entire series with you guys on camera. It's like 22 books, but I figured it would be kind of fun to come in, read 1 or 2 or 3, and then tell you my thoughts and feelings about it as we talk through them. So that is my current plan, and we'll get to that relatively soon. I'll be reading it this month, probably on one of my off days during some off time. But that being said, I hope you guys are enjoying your day, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.